Joining here with me today is Naleen Edirisinghe, Chief Executive Officer of Pan Asia Bank. Aibowan and welcome Naleen.
Aibowan Gaini.
So Naleen, when we hear the phrase, Aiyo, we don't accept cards, we often attribute it as a issue related to technology or service fee. But as a banker, from your perspective, do you think we have misdiagnosed the real problem?
Yes, I think. Actually, if you look at our ecosystems and then the habits, the behavioral patterns of our customers and the people all around, it's that the little thing that people are not savvy enough to do digital transactions, right? One of the, of course, there are about 3 reasons for this, I'll let you know. One is actually whether a person, say, we usually make our payments to our drivers, gardeners, then maybe the helpers, we always make it in cash, right? The reason is, even if you make a payment through card, whether he or she can use it again, those funds, even though it goes to an account immediately, whether he can use it again the same day, right? So that problem is there in our economy. Number 2 is whether we have many who are daily wage earners. Say now a 3-wheeler, if he is being paid by a card, right, we can make that adjustment, but he will have to use cash to buy petrol, because he also needs to, there will be no system where he can use his same account number and then use for petrol, because that petrol shed might not have a card system, right? So when you look at it, our daily, the pattern of our people is that they usually, they take it by cash and spend it the same day. Then comes the trust. Now there have been so many, with regard to digital laws, there have been cancellations, then usage problems. So there is sometimes we see there is no trust in the cards by people who are not that savvy to digital ecosystems, right? So there is a disconnect between a majority in the country for digital usage with regard to continuing with digital payments in the country.
So it means that actually individuals or SMEs especially, so they are not aware of the hidden costs that are involved with primarily dealing with cash. So in terms of growth and keeping records and everything, actually cash transactions can be very restrictive as well.
Yes. Now if you look at it, now since you came up with the issue of SMEs, now see, SMEs are having inherent problems, right? One is how to place your records, right? You need to have your records with regard to all sales, right? Maybe your expenses. But if you are doing that in cash, you will not have those records, right? So what happens when you go to a bank? You don't have evidence to prove to your banker, right? Then number 2 is, when now look at something like say suddenly all your records are vanished, like what happened recently, right? So if you were having your transactions in your accounts rather than a book, it would have definitely been being digitally stored, right? So the customer should have used those evidences to prove his income and expenditure to any area, right? Even say now to get a relief from the government, if you don't have evidence, how are you going to do it? Right? So it's really good that if you do your transactions digitally so that they are stored securely and you can access to them at any given time.
Actually, you touched upon a question that I was going to ask next. We recently faced the devastation effects of the cyclone Ditwah, and it affected lots of SMEs, not only to their stock and the inventory, but also to their cash and records. So for an SME that has not been adopted to digital transactions or digital payment structure, this may be a little tiresome period or a difficult period to get the records straight and go for the seek assistance that they can get it from the government and other authorities. So what is the lesson that we can learn and share with the SMEs, at least to prevent such events occurring from future?
Yes. I think the push has to come from the government, right? People's behavioral patterns will take some time to change. Now take for an example, Gani, now a country like India with such a large population, they went, they brought in instructions, advisors, you have to do your transactions digitally. So even a payment hawker in New Delhi would do payments through QR payments, right? So the push has to come from the government. Even though we will say that this digital, they should, if they have done this digitally, these should have been saved. No, that wouldn't work, because as a country, we have not come to that level of countries like India, right? So what my thinking is, the Sri Lankan government, of course, is coming with a lot of initiatives, should bring in regulations to transact digitally, right? Even a small timer should be able to transact digitally. So what will happen is, so he will have a QR, so he will make the payments on QR, and even when he buys anything, even from a shop, he makes the QR payment. So it's so simple. That is how in India it works, right? So that being such a large country, so people will get adapted to digital transactions only when pushed, right? Because we have seen it, we have seen digital wallets, all these things coming in, but Sri Lanka has not been able to cater to that masses digitally. Only a set of people like us, you and us, we are using these digital channels, right? But there is maybe 60-70% out there, the masses who are not using this. So we need to, as of course the government has to push it, banks have to support it, right? And then the fintechs have to support, all have to get together and see that this country is digitally driven, because few things, right? Now operationally also, you can handling cash is now, say a shop owner in Gampola was having cash, say maybe 500,000 in his shop, it's all gone. He cannot even go to insurance and say, I was having, they will ask, well, how come you show us evidence? How can you do that? You can't do it, right? So operationally also, people are facing risks by carrying cash and paying in cash, right? So all this, and also the transparency for tax, for government tax, right? And also I would suggest there has to be a simple slab structure for taxes as well, so that people will know, right, what their taxes are going to be, because people are not coming to these digital channels fearing taxes as well. We have seen that, right? So I think it's high time the government also give benefits for using digital channels, and also obviously for low income earners there cannot be taxes, right? It has to be from a threshold and above. That is how it works, right? So people should know it, right, how it happens, because we need to educate them. So this is where everybody needs to get together, and finally I am sure with a digital economy this country can have a leap forward.
What I am hearing is that actually when we hear the phrase that Aiyo, we don't accept cards, we should not jump too quickly to conclude that the SME is reluctant due to a service fee issue. it actually has a lot of concerns, as you mentioned, that the trust and the accessibility, and for them to repurpose the cash onto their day-to-day needs. So it means that there's a lot of stakeholders that play a different roles. You mentioned about the government, but government alone can't do this by themselves. So financial institutions, as you said, and us as customers also have a role to play. So what are the practical ways the audience that is listening to this program can actually understand and support digital adoption for a SME that is not doing so simply because of the other inherent issues that is facing them?
Now, your question was on SMEs, how they should adapt. They should realize carrying cash, right? Then also not having records, which I mentioned previously, are all hindrances for their growth, right? They should be educated, and also they should realize the importance of using digital channels, right? So by using digital channels, obviously, one thing is they are secured. Number two, their records are maintained, right? Number three, they will know where they stand. You know, when the records are there, they will know where they stand. Otherwise, they will only have cash in their drawers, right? So they will be a disciplined set of people, and they will naturally have that bigger growth where they right now don't know where they can be at a given time in the future. So I think digital adoption is a must to them, and I think we need to support all SMEs, who are about 70% of our economy of entrepreneurs. So we need to support them.
What I'm taking away today is that when we hear the phrase, Aiyo, we don't accept cards, it's not about cards itself. It's about education, resilience, and lack of trust. And solving that is a shared responsibility of all of us. Thank you, Naleen, for joining me today.
Thank you, Gayani.